It's the middle of winter here in Canada, so why not test the MX-5? This is the RF, the retractable fastback. Let's go for a drive. I'm your host, Brian Max, racing driver, a lover of driving fast, fun things. This thing certainly qualifies as fun. I don't know about necessarily fast, but it is a blast to drive. And on this channel, you're gonna get reviews for drivers from drivers. Now, the plan for this episode, when I originally scheduled this, I was planning to drive this in the winter. This is the middle of winter here, and there are a couple of considerations. First, it hasn't snowed in a couple of weeks. So yes, it's cold, but there's no snow on the ground. So that scuttles my plans for testing this in full winter mode. Alas, we have a couple of things to talk about. One is the RF and whether we like this or not. The other consideration is whether we like the fancy MX-5 or not. The MX-5's drivetrain is wonderful, and it's the way it should be. The Skyactiv G 2-liter 4-cylinder makes 181 horsepower at 7,000 RPM and 151 pounds of torque at 4,000 RPM. This one is the fancy one, so it's got a limited slip diff, and it's equipped properly with a 6-speed manual transmission, of course. The suspension is double wishbones up front, multi-link rear, and because this one is the fancy one, it's got the Bilstein dampers as well. It's got the fancy brakes with Brembo calipers up front and 280 millimeter rotors front and rear. Since this one is the top spec, it rolls on forged BBS wheels, 17-inch with 205 45 17s. We are in winter mode, so of course we're on winter tires, not the OE tire. Inside, it's pretty simple. It's exactly what you'd expect. Automatic climate control, and the infotainment system thankfully has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto if you're an Android user. Curb weight is 2,460 pounds, which is 110 pounds heavier than the Roadster, and all those 110 pounds are located right up here, giving this thing a higher center of gravity. Static weight distribution is still roughly 50-50, which isn't too bad. It's that time in the episode for how to spec your Mazda MX-5. Base price in the United States is $33,045, and that's for a club. Here in Canada, it's $40,100 for a GSP. This one is full jam in polymetal gray metallic with all the fancy bits. There is an automatic available. No, I haven't driven it. Yes, I recommend the manual only. Yes, I appreciate some people are unable to drive a manual, but the manual is the way to go, no question about it. Save the manuals. As tested, this is $34,425 US. This is for a Grand Touring specification. Here in Canada, it's $46,950 for a GT with the Sport package. Now, as some of you guys know, I really don't care for the RF. I prefer the Roadster. In fact, I love the Roadster. I appreciate why this works, and certainly living with it for a few days in the city, I like the security of a hardtop, but for me, if you're gonna do an MX-5, you gotta get the Roadster. And as for all of these fancy bits like the Brembo brakes and the BBS wheels and the Bilstein dampers, do you really need them? Well, I don't think so. Unless you're tracking your MX-5 a lot, there's no point in these options. I still advocate for a base MX-5 Roadster. It's such a beautiful machine. Yes, these are nice things to have, and if you want to spend the money, go right ahead. But if you're looking for value, there is great value at the entry-level point of the MX-5. In terms of seating position, this is just about perfection. Mazda, of course, designs cars for drivers. I keep saying that, but it's absolutely true. In this car, the interface is near perfection, and the only thing I would change is really I'd like a little more reach out of this steering wheel. That's it. Otherwise, I'm set up perfectly. Great seat. This one has the fancy Recaros, and the pedals are laid out perfectly. Nice, solid dead pedal there as well. And the shape and size of the steering wheel is perfect. It's not much of a reach to get to the shifter as well. The thing is, you don't buy an MX-5 for its spaciousness, now do you? Any MX-5 just has a modest amount of storage space. There's not much going on. There's a little room here, a little bit of room here. Maybe you stick your phone there. Some storage right here. And then there's the trunk. Right now, I've got a carry-on size camera bag and my backpack in there, as well as a tripod and a couple of bottles of water, and there's not much more room for anything else. Juvenile speed limits in this province. Speed limits for children. Mazda says this will do 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds, and that's fine. It's not necessarily about outright quickness and outright speed either. It will top out at 135 miles an hour, believe it or not, but I suspect it would take a really long time to get there. The thing about an MX-5 is it is not about speed anyway, and that's what I want to make clear. It is about maximizing this car's performance envelope, and for the most part, you can do that entirely legally as well. Yes, you can drive this car quickly within some reasonable boundaries, and I love it for that. That is the beauty of an MX-5. You can drive it so aggressively, but also so safely, and for the most part, legally. You can really drive this thing to its maximum capabilities almost all the time, which is something you can't do with 300 horsepower cars, 400 horsepower cars, or 800 horsepower cars. Even though we're in winter mode and on some winter Pirellis, there's still a tremendous amount of grip, and that has to do with the lightness of this overall package and the amount of power that the Skyactiv G2 liter puts out. Only on a few occasions have I been able to break traction, and it's generally in low-speed corners with very aggressive throttle openings, but otherwise this thing puts down power like it's not difficult at all. We are going to talk about the diff in a second as well. Hey, there's a little ice. Woohoo! One of the things I love about this car is this engine, especially since it was refreshed and improved a couple of years ago. It's just fantastic, and it's just the perfect mate for this car. I love it, and it mates perfectly to this transmission as well. It makes for a beautiful, fully resolved package here with this MX-5. This is one of the best manual transmission gearboxes in the business, and certainly heel and toe is not difficult at all, and thankfully there's no rev matching in this MX-5. No MX-5 has rev matching, and no MX-5 has a sport mode either. I mean, I love it. There's no sport mode button here. It's perfect. Now, putting down power at low speeds, when you're exiting a corner like that, putting down power, not difficult at all. And if you're listening, you're gonna feel that diff work, unless you're driving it aggressively like I would from time to time, or you're taking it to the track and doing some track work. The question is whether you need that diff, and whether you need these wheels and tires, whether you need this brake setup, and whether you need the Bilsteins. And again, I'm going to argue if you're not taking it to the track, you're probably not going to get the benefit of all of those bits. So I'd suggest perhaps saving your money. Consider buying an entry-level MX-5 and you'll be perfectly happy. Now, if you do a lot of work, or just don't care to spend the money, sure, you're going to get the benefit of the dampers, of the brakes, and of the diff from time to time. I just don't see most MX-5 drivers benefiting from them, so I don't necessarily want to recommend that to everybody. For me, yes, I'm going to take advantage of it, but if I were buying a road car, I probably wouldn't buy this spec with all of these bits. I'd save a few $1,000s and buy a regular one. Steering is magnificent. It is just alive. Even though it is electric, it's direct, it's precise. You can really feel what's going on at the front. And speaking of feel, chassis feel here is fantastic. And another thing you do feel is the fact that 110 pounds worth of this roof and mechanisms sit up high in this chassis. You do notice the difference, but I can appreciate why people like the RF. It's not for me. I love the Roadster. Also, I do have to talk about these fancy brakes. I like the braking in the regular MX-5, especially the Roadster, but these Brembos just offer a little bit more precision and a little bit more control than the base model's brakes. Is it worth it? Well, for me, I love a great brake pedal. If I could get those Brake calipers as an option on their own, I certainly would, but otherwise, I don't know if there's that much value for the average driver. So again, I tend to recommend the regular MX-5 over this, but I do love the precision control and feel of this brake setup with those brake calipers, those Brembos. And of course, who doesn't like a big flashy red brake caliper shining out from behind a black wheel? The thing about these Bilstein dampers, I do like the way they've been tuned to control body and wheel motion. They're excellent, but the base MX-5's dampers do an excellent job as well. Yes, these are incrementally better. Do you need them? Probably not if you're not taking your MX-5 to the track, but I do enjoy these. Sure, if you're gonna spec your MX-5 like this and get the fancy brakes, wheels, tires, certainly the dampers, yeah, you can say to your friends in the know, sure, I got the fancy package. Don't you see my brake calipers? Don't you see my yellow dampers underneath the wheels? Well, sure, that's cool and everything, but do you really need that in an MX-5? I don't think so. Now, I do want to talk about this RF. I don't know if you can hear this, but there's constant wind noise because this structure is here. This is here, and to me, I just don't want it there. Yes, the security of a hardtop when you're leaving this parked in a city like where I live, yes, I can appreciate that. But for me, an MX-5 is about an open air motoring experience, and for me, it's better as a roadster. Certainly with a roadster, you do benefit by not having 110 pounds of roof and other bits all the way up here, raising the center of gravity. I just like the roadster. It's so simple and it's so pure, but I do understand there's a place for an RF. All of that said, I love driving MX-5s. There's such a purity to this driving experience. There's really nothing like it. And I love these cars and I love what Mazda's done with them. My verdict, well, as you guys know, love the car, not a big fan of the RF. I really do wish I had some snow to drive this thing and have some more fun in it, but alas, here we are. This RF, again, not my favorite, and that's because we've got all that wind noise coming from that roof structure, but otherwise, love the MX-5. I still don't think you need all the fancy bits. I still think that there is great value with an entry-level MX-5. Sure, if you want the RF with that hardtop and the security of that, I totally understand, but for me, you have to get an MX-5 Roadster, and you can probably get away with a base or near entry-level MX-5 if you're not going on the track. In terms of fuel consumption, well, I haven't done much driving because there's nowhere to go because we're fully locked down here at the moment, so all I can say is I've done about 23 miles per gallon, probably could do better, but every time I drive an MX-5, I really enjoy it. So don't look at my fuel consumption numbers to represent what you would do. I've just enjoyed driving it, and 23 miles per gallon is not so bad, don't you think? Thanks for hanging out with me today and having a look at this 2020 Mazda MX-5 RF with all the fancy bits. Hope you liked this piece, and if you did, well, you're not new to YouTube. You know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, like this video, and as always, sharing is caring. Please share this with your friends, and really our only ask is that you share this on Reddit because they really need to see reviews from drivers for drivers, so appreciate it if you can do that. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you want to support the channel, please head to our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff in the merch store for driving enthusiasts like us, including our popular line of Save the Manuals merch. And save the manuals, my friends. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. And remember, cars don't understeer by themselves, not even beautiful, classic, modern convertibles. It's light. It's 180 horsepower. And the base brakes are fine. This has got the Brembos. Like, you don't need it. Yeah. I don't know what Mazda thinks of it, but that last MX-5 video I did just because it was the base model and argued for the base model, it like blew up.